Sitting there fighting a battle that was over when I had to relocate. You see, I ain't much for letting go. No, baby, I gotta hold on. Cause trials, tribulations, and relationships have all made me strong. Oh, girl, I cry. These tears that I shed on the trail to bring you home. Oh, girl, I cry. Mama told me that a man's own tears can make him strong. Oh, girl, I cry. I'll sit around here and wait for you to come home. I'll cry for you. I'll cry. I'll cry.
Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowances made for fair use for purpose such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips in the balance of the favor of fair use. Welcome to part 3 of the Black History Bite on Zora Neale Hurston. Zora was one of the fiercest writers of her day, but few know her dark history from personal heartbreak to public scandal and beyond. Hurston faced every curveball life threw her way. She was prolific and a controversial author, but sadly not even her blazing intelligence could save her from a devastating fate. Picking up from where we left off. In 1934, Hurston started a school for dramatic arts at Bethune-Cookman College, now known as Bethune-Cookman University. She wanted the students to be able to perform works based on pure Negro expression. Some years later, she joined the faculty at what is now known as North Carolina Central University, but left to concentrate on her writing. Hurston also took up some random jobs to make ends meet in later years. She was a librarian for the Pan American Airline for a bit before they fired her for her overqualifications. She freelanced for various papers and as a result covered a very important story. Hurston had been freelancing for a while before she covered the most sensational case in 1952 in Florida. The accused was a rich Black woman named Ruby McCullum, who had supposedly taken a white doctor's life. McCullum's side of the story was that the doctor had forced himself on her and forced her to have his child. Hurston and her editor hoped the case would be a landmark ruling to end paramour rights, which, believe it or not, meant a white man could use a Black woman for physical relationship when he pleased. Boy, was she in for a surprise. Hurston followed the trial, and the Pittsburgh Courier published her reports until an all-male, all-white jury sentenced McCullum to capital punishment. She wanted to cover the appeal but left when her editor cheaped her out of her payment. She passed the baton on to a fellow journalist, though, who repaid her for her encouragement and notes. William Bradford Huey did Hurston's dirty and only briefly mentioned her in his bestseller, Ruby McCullum, Woman in the Swanee Jail. The joke's on him, though. Zora Neale Hurston became a legend, and he never would be. But although she went down in history, the Doom Rider still met an incredibly depressing end. In a heartbreaking turn of events, Hurston was pretty much penniless in the last days of her life. She had to work whatever job she could find, and on good days, she was a substitute teacher, and on bad ones, she worked as a maid. Sadly, she didn't even have friends or family to rely on. But that wasn't the worst part. In her last days, Hurston had to move to a welfare home. She was only 69 years old when she suffered a stroke and passed away because of hypertensive heart disease. Oh, but the horrors just keep coming. Sadly, the home buried her in an unmarked grave in Fort Pierce, Florida. But there was an ironic twist to her sad end. You see, while she was still alive, Hurston passionately advocated for a very different final resting place. Hurston had made a strong case to have a cemetery for the illustrious Negro dead. She wrote a letter to W.E.B. Du Bois, whom she considered the dean of the American Negro artists, and put forth her arguments as to why she thought this was a necessity. Basically, it was so none of her accomplished colleagues lie in inconspicuous forgetfulness because of their financial situation. And yet, here she was, moldering in an unmarked grave. However, despite her passing, this wasn't the end of the road for Hurston. Alice Walker, the author of The Color Purple, discovered Hurston's folk stories while she was in college. She'd been in search of Black authors but was unable to find any. When she finally stumbled across Hurston, a wave of relief washed over her. The forgotten writer's work intrigued Walker to no end. Her interest in Hurston rekindled the public's curiosity, and after that, there was no looking back. Prior to Walker's attention, people had mostly forgotten Hurston's name in the literary world. However, things changed once Walker became involved. She managed a reprinting of all of Hurston's previous works, which had been out of print for a long time. Researchers also found some previously unpublished work that could create a lot of hype for. Soon Zora Neale Hurston became a household name once again. Hurston rested in peace in an unmarked grave in Florida. Walker was having none of it, though. It is an essay titled In Search of Zora Neale Hurston. She writes about her search for Hurston's grave and how she finally found it. She posed as Hurston's niece from a white father. When someone asked her who she was, it took her a while, but she managed to track down the long lost grave and used a gray headstone to mark it. However, as Walker was unaware of Hurston's panache for changing her age, she put down 1901 as her year of birth, with the epitaph reading Zora Neale Hurston, a genius of the South. Hurston's work has since inspired a generation of aspiring writers. Apart from Walker, she also influenced writers like Gail Jones, Ralph Ellison. Her stories contain themes of female independence, which other writers hadn't explored before. Today, she's considered the first Black feminist writer of our time. From obscurity to celebrity, Zora Neale Hurston's journey has been one for the books. I want to thank you for coming back for this short, quick bite of Black history, celebrating Zora Neale Hurston and a summary of what she went through. May she rest in peace and may her work live on. Be well, stay safe, Ashe, and deep bow to each and every one of you. And thank you for coming through for part 3. Ashe.
Sitting there fighting a battle that was over when I had to relocate. You see, I ain't much for letting go. No, baby, I gotta hold on. 'Cause trials, tribulations, and relationships have all made me strong. Oh, girl, I cry. These tears that I shed on the trail to bring you home. Oh, girl, I cry. Mama told me that a man's own tears can make him strong. Oh, girl, I cry. I'll sit around here and wait for you to come home. I'll cry for you. I'll cry.